Welcome to Art by Rick. I'm Rick. Well, it's a weekend morning, and this happens to be a cloudy day outside. It's a little bit of gloomy. It's kind of cold, a little depressing. So one of the things that I do to try to lighten my mood is I create paintings. And here on Art by Rick, I've shown you many paintings that I've done in different styles and different techniques. Today I'm just going to go with overall feeling. I'm going to pick some colors. I'm going to use this canvas here on the easel to try and just create something that is pleasant to look at to kind of brighten my gloomy day. Now, my weapons of choice, I'm going to use different brushes today. I have an array of brushes, different sizes, round, square, angled cut, some just baby fiber brushes. I have a thing of water here for me to just thin my paints out. And of course, several different colors in front of me as far as paints are concerned to be able to apply onto the canvas. I even have some bright yellow here. The way that I do this is I use paper plates. I've shown this many times on the show. I'll put some paint on my paper plates to dip my brush into, and then I'll apply those paints on the canvas. Now, what I like to do is I always like to start with dark colors on a white canvas and then build from there. I'll start in this particular canvas from the middle, and I'm going to build out in the different directions. I'm going to try to accomplish this while I'm standing off to the side here so you can see what I'm doing on the canvas while it's here on the easel in front of me. It's a little bit of an angle for me to work at, but again, I'm trying to capture myself on camera as well as the painting on camera. So let's begin and decide what colors I'm going to use and begin to apply those paints to the canvas. So let's begin. As I said, I've got my colors out here in front of me, and I'm going to start from the middle of the canvas. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to use my round tip brush here and a darker color. So I'm going to use some blue, which is a dark blue on the canvas here. And I'm going to start from the middle of the canvas, I guess, is probably the best thing to do. And the pattern that I'm going to use to paint this abstract is I'm just going to kind of let my feelings flow, just whichever direction the brush seems to want to go. I'm not really making a picture per se, it's an abstract. So it's just going to be different designs. So starting from the middle of the canvas, I'm just going to start making some helter-kelter, type of strokes, just any which way that I want, making sure that I get some blue colors on here, trying not to let those colors get too thick right now. I'm just kind of following it all over the canvas, kind of almost in ribbon type strokes, just to spread some paint on the canvas itself. Now this painting's going to be a little bit layered per se, because I'm going to be doing several different colors on here. So this lays down the blue, and once I've got enough blue on here, I'll start to add some contrasting colors to start filling up this canvas with color depending on which way it decides to take me. And that's one of the fun things about doing abstracts, is you kind of just go with the flow and see what comes out and see if the design appeals to you. You can change it up, you can go different directions, you can do a number of different things. Again, just a very simple type painting in the abstract. So let's let this set up for just a minute or so, and then we'll add another color. So now we'll continue on with the painting. I'm going to pick a different brush, and I'm going to use some bright yellow to contrast my blue. So again, I have my paper plates down on my table. You can't see it because it's a little low here. But I'm putting my paintbrush into my yellow, and I'm just going to add some yellow onto the painting. Now, what I'm trying to do here is I don't want my paintings to just mix just yet. I'm trying to keep them separate, so I'm really paying attention to anywhere that I find on this canvas where the blue might still be a little bit wet, because I want to try not to mix it. As you can see right here, I hit the blue, so I get a little bit of a green highlight into the yellow paint. So I want to try to avoid that. Again, I'm going to cover this canvas pretty completely with a number of different colors, layering one on top of the other. So there's going to be some blending as the paint is wet. But again, I'm going to try to avoid that as much as I can. Now as I add more colors, I'm switching brushes. I'm trying to keep a nice clean brush as I'm doing this. So I've had my blue and my yellow set up here on the painting for a while. Now I'm going to add a little bit of orange. So I'm going to dip my brush in some orange, and I'm just going to make some orange marks onto the canvas. And again, I'm just kind of zigzagging. Now, one of the things that I do that kind of give it a little bit of interest and depth is as I'm painting on the canvas itself, I'm twisting the brush. I don't know if you can see me doing that, but I twist it in my hand. And the reason why I do that is it gives me a little bit of a ribbon look, like I said before, just a little bit of a ribbon type of a look on here. So again, I'm just kind of marking these onto the canvas itself. There you go. So there's a little bit of orange. Now I'll change brushes again. I'm going to use a little bit thinner of a brush, and I'm going to go with some bright red. And I'm adding these as just strikes onto the canvas itself. Again, I'm making an abstract here, a multicolored abstract, kind of like flowing ribbons, and I'm just kind of zigzagging this onto the screen. And now we'll just do a little bit of this. And there we go. So there's our next couple of colors that have been added on to our canvas. I'll let this set up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of more colors on here, and then I'll switch the type of paint and add some additional depth to it. As I was looking at the paint, I decided I'm going to add a little bit of green to this. So I took a flat brush and I'm taking some green paint, and I'm going to add some green marks onto this. So I'm just going to do this with some interesting little strikes onto my canvas. These are just little dashes that I'm making on the canvas itself. Some of this paint is going to hit the other colors, and if the other colors are still wet, it's going to blend a little bit, but that's okay. We're looking to get some interest on here, something, I don't know, different to look at. So I'm making some green marks on my canvas. Just going with green here. Just kind of going across some of the other colors. And I'm going on an angle on this. I decided instead of going straight or doing zigzags, I'm just doing a few little green angles on the canvas, and I'm covering it pretty much as I can in different areas, making sure that I get some green representation. And as it picks up some of the other colors, it blends a little bit, and that's fine. Okay, so there we go. So now we're adding our green little dashes to it. All right. Now what I want to do with this is I want to add just a little bit of black. The black's going to give it a little bit of a depth and help the colors really stand out, because I've got a lot of colors on this canvas, so they're kind of all intertwined with each other and they're kind of fighting each other a little bit. So I'm going to add some black to the canvas. So I'm going to take a thin brush. I'm going to add a little bit of black paint. I have some black paint on my paper plate, which is off the screen right here. And I'm just going to add just a little bit of black. So I'll pick some areas that I feel I might want to put a little bit of black in. And in this case here, I'm just doing, again, some little strokes on the canvas in some of the dry areas because I don't want it to mix. And I'm just giving it a little bit of black. You know, what I find when I'm doing paintings like this is I'm just kind of letting my mind relax, and I'm just going along, just kind of plopping some black on here and there on the canvas. Just filling in some of the little areas, just to give me a little bit of a contrast. I'm trying not to get this too much in a pattern that I don't know, kind of repeats itself too much. But I'm just adding this black on, and again, just here and there and everywhere. So there's just a little bit of black in here. Okay, so there we go, just some black. Now, I'm going to let this set up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the canvas down to the flat part of my table, because the next thing I want to do is I'm going to splatter some paint on here to get some zigzagging lines and some blotches to give it a little bit of a different type of a contrasting look than the squiggle lines and the little dashes that I've been making with the different colors. So I'll let this set up, and then I'll switch the camera around and we'll zoom in on the table and we'll take a look as I splatter some of the paint using a splattering technique that I've done before on the show. Now I've moved the painting that I did up on the easel onto my work table. This is the multicolor painting that we did. Basically, I've just added a bunch of colors to a canvas doing this abstract, just whatever suit my mood at the particular time on this rainy day, as I said. Now I'm going to do some drizzling on it. I want to add some highlights to this. So in order to do the drizzle, I always do it on a flat table because it's kind of hard to do that up on a canvas. So I apologize for being off camera, but putting it on a flat table and just allowing it to set and letting gravity work on the table helps me. Now I have some paint here mixed in a cup. I'm using just a popsicle stick to kind of get this paint to drool a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm getting it to drool. And I'm just going to make some drizzle lines on this. This is a neutral color, so I'm starting with a very neutral color. This is kind of like a tan color in here. And I'm just going to allow this to drizzle onto the canvas. I'm just drizzling. I'm making some, I don't know, just zigzag lines on here. Just some zigzag lines. It's one of my favorite things to do because I think it adds some interest to the canvas itself. Just some drizzly lines. That's all. Really simple. Okay. Now that I've added my drizzle lines in my neutral color, now I want to give this a little bit of a shine. So how am I going to do that? Well, my favorite colors for shine on a canvas like this is to use gold and to use silver. Okay, so now I'm ready to add my gold and my silver to my canvas. So I did the same thing that I did with this neutral tan type color. I just mixed the metallic paint in a cup to get a good drip on it. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just allow this to drip onto my canvas. Now this paint is a little thicker, so it's going to have a little bit of blob on it, as well as some of the drool lines or string lines or whatever you want to call them on here as I'm moving along. And every once in a while it's going to get a little bit of a splatter on it. See, like right there on that space. And that's fine because that's what adds some interest. Just a little bit of splatter. In fact, I'll probably take this and do some flicking motions on here just to kind of allow the silver to really spread on the canvas. So there we go. Just spreading it on like that. There we go. Okay, so there's my silver. And now I'll take some of the gold and I'm going to do the same thing with the gold. So I'm just going to allow this to drip and to splatter and to give me some gold highlights on here. And again, that's all I'm really doing is I'm just splattering some gold onto the canvas itself. All right, so I'm going to let this set for a minute, and then I'm going to come back and see what else I might want to do. I'm going to probably do a little bit of a better splatter on this, but let's let this sit up so we can take a, or let it set up so I can take a look at it and go from there. Now, in continuing to layer on this painting, I'm going to do some splatter. And the way I do my splatter is I'm just going to use two colors, purple and pink. I'm going to add some purple to a brush. This is a regular size brush. And to thin this out, I'm going to add some water to it. So what I do is I put the paint on the brush. I have my water here. This is some leftover paint water. And I'm just going to dip my brush into the water to get it a little liquid. And I'm going to splatter. And what I'm doing is I'm just shaking some of the paint onto the canvas. This is just making some dots, some little flicks on here. Again, I'm just making something of interest onto the canvas. And I'm going to kind of let the water drip off of it. And then I'm going to dip it into the pink. And I'm going to follow the same kind of thing. I'm just putting some heavy pink on here. And there we go. That's all I'm going to do. Now I have something in mind to finish this painting, and that's going to require me to do a little bit of a black design in the middle of all of this helter-skelter color. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. So let me set up, and I'll get my black paint ready and my brush ready, and we'll do a little bit of a design in the middle of all this to kind of try to focus it all together. To finish this painting, the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make some designs up in the middle here. And what I've decided to do is kind of make a geometric or I don't know really how to describe it, but I'm going to make some triangles on here. I'm going to do them in black, and I'm going to do the design with the aid of some painter's tape. So I'm going to apply the painter's tape in the directions that I want to onto my painting, and then I'll paint my black squares on that, and then we'll peel it off and we'll see what the final result is. Now I've started to add the painter's tape to the painting, and as you can see I made a crisscross here so I can get a center. It's important to make sure that your painting is completely dry before you do this. You might get some pools as you pull the tape off, and that kind of gives it a little bit of interest. But in order to make my triangles, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of deciding what size I want to make those triangles. And I'm placing my tape in such a way where I can do that. So as you can see, I'm making one right here. I'll make one about the same size right here. I'm doing the tape all the way across the painting because I want to see what other kinds of angles or other kinds of spots I might get to make some triangles here. So again, I'm trying to just, basically eyeball this as to the sizes. So as you can see, I'm going to have a few triangles here. I'll have these here. I will have a couple in these corners here and a couple in the other corners there, and maybe some others that I'll put on here. So I'll continue doing this, and then I'll be back, and I'll put this, as I said, up on the easel, and we'll start to put the black paint on and peel it all off and see what it looks like. All right, so now I've put the painting back up on the easel, and as you can see, I have it all taped off. I planned where I want to put my triangles on this that I'm going to do in black. And I cheated a little bit because it gets kind of busy with all the colors that are on here, so I put little pieces of tape in the little areas that I do not want to paint and a little black slice where I do want to paint, so I kind of know where I'm going. So I'm going to take my black paint here, and I'm going to add some to my plate. I can get some of this paint to come out. Here we go. All right. And just using a regular brush, I'm going to find those areas that I want to paint and very carefully paint those triangles. So I decided I'm going to do one up here. So I'm just going to paint that triangle in place very simply, just like that. And I'm going to do another one on the opposite side. And again, I'm going to keep painting the triangles that I have marked on here. And in the interest of time here, I'm not going to, spend too much time doing this. You get the gist of the idea of what I'm doing. So I will finish this up off camera, and then we'll let it dry, and then we'll have our reveal as to what we want this to look like and finish the painting. Okay, so now here comes the good part. This is when we do my reveal. So I added my painter's tape on here and I painted my squares. I went away for a few minutes. I let this set up. So now it's a matter of trying to take the paint off and just doing it where I'm just going to peel this tape off, and hopefully we end up with a reveal of the triangles on here where we end up with our design. So I'm going to just gently be peeling this paint off, or the painter's tape off the painting. And as I do this, you'll start to see the lines starting to show up. So this is going to take me a few minutes to do. So I will do this, and then I will come back with the camera and show you what the final product looks like. So I'll be peeling tape while I'm off camera here. I'll be right back. All right, so here's the reveal. I took the tape off, and as you can see, I have my triangles on here. The lines came out where I'm satisfied, and this pretty much is the finished painting. So this was an abstract that I did. This abstract started with me layering a number of different colors in different directions, kind of twirling that brush and making little ribbon designs. We then did some trinkles off of our popsicle stick of the paint. We did some splatters on here, and then we finished it off by putting some painter's tape onto the painting so that we can paint these triangular designs onto our painting. So there you go, another layered abstract, just something that I was in the mood to do to kind of fill up this rainy day. And I hope you'll enjoy or enjoyed watching me do this particular painting. So there you go, an abstract finished. Another one to add to my collection or hang on a wall someplace. My name is Rick, and this has been Art by Rick. I thank you very much for watching, so go out there and paint. See you next time.
I'm your host, Kurt Barwis. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Andrew Lin.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name's Chuck Wooden.
Decision for ourselves for this week, if we want to be made well.
Hi, welcome to the crack of dawn. It's Dawn Lombardi. I'm starting the painting. It's going to be the clips with some water. Love it.
He took me on the sets of Lost in Space, Batman.
Everybody has a story. What's yours? Until next time.
Adoption is a journey, and in any parenting journey, there are difficult things and there are really great things.
We did our training through DCF, and we felt really well trained and well prepared. The social workers become like family.
We love them. They made such a huge impact in our lives. We have gotten so much support and so much love through DCF. You're never prepared for parenthood, but we felt as prepared as we could be. It's a joy that we hope others share as well. If you think that you are ready to foster or adopt, please go to ctfosters.com.